Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. I've gotten into the habit of doing these evolution reports with lots of notes lately because there's just so much going on. So let's start first with exploring the retrograde of Palooza, just to give you a quick update. Last week we had, at the start of the week, I think 6 planets in retrograde. Tonight on the 10th of October, we see Saturn going direct. Pluto has gone direct, so we're sort of 2 down, 4 to go. Obviously, we're still in a Mercury retrograde cycle. And obviously, anytime we have any kind of retrograde influence on the planetary weather, it does give us this sort of invitation to drop down and to go deep into the inner world as the foundation for the outer world. So it will start to feel over the next couple of weeks, particularly as we get to the end of October, like we're going to get a little bit more traction than perhaps we've been experiencing the last few months. So take a deep breath. And in the meantime, don't forget that the purpose of these retrograde cycles is for us to really do some inner contemplation. And most importantly, especially when we look at the theme of the outer planets, we are being reminded to start first with intention, to start first with a dream. You know, I've been in business as an entrepreneur literally my entire adult life. I've never had a corporate job that I escaped from. I've always been unemployable. And I've always been engaged in the question of how do you create success? And what makes the difference between wildly successful people sometimes and people who are averagely successful? And I do think that the heart of wild success comes dreaming, having a big enough dream to call you forward, and intentionality. And sometimes I think when we get quagmired into day-to-day movement of the pieces of the material world, we forget that we are better able to know where to move those pieces or which pieces to move if we've grounded our day or our vision or our growth process in a dream and an intention. And in fact, we see this all over the chart, that the most creative energy is not in the sacral, the energy for working hard. It's not in the will, for the energy for hustle. The most creative energy actually lies in the emotional solar plexus, and our ability to cultivate the right energy field first. It's not the only step, but we have to cultivate this energy field, this prayer field of intention first, and stay in that field, tend to that field, grow that field, and from that place of alignment with possibility, then the next cues, the next little signals and signs, the next awarenesses and insights that we need to know when the timing is right to take action show up. And they show up out here in our material world, and we don't have to figure things out. That's kind of easy in a way. We overcomplicate it because our conditioning gets in the way of us having faith in things that are bigger than our logical reasoning minds think we can figure out. But in reality, our creativity goes up exponentially when it's attached to a dream. And it really goes up exponentially when it's attached to a dream that supports us in creating from a place of compassion and sharing sustainably. And I say that specifically because we are still playing with some of the themes of will this week, at least in the beginning of this week, with the Earth grounding us in the gate 51 until Thursday. And anytime we're playing with the themes of will, we're also playing with the themes of sustainability. We can't collaborate, share, create, grow, take care of each other or ourselves if we're creating from a martyrdom model. Martyrdom models have at the end sort of an inevitable unsustainable finish, right? So we have to really explore, how do we value ourselves enough and our right place in the world enough in order for us to create sustainably? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we sustain ourselves? How do we stand in our value and hold that value piece deeply enough in a most honoring way in order for our cups to be overflowing and for us to be able to give from the saucer? I've talked about that a lot in the last couple of months, so I'm not going to go further in that other than to say this. Last week, I talked about how there's a relationship between fear and our sense of value. And the code to healing that relationship is in the gates that the Earth highlights when the sun transits through some of the fear gates of the spleen. So last week, we started a transit with the sun in the 57. It was actually conjunct Mercury, or I think Mars, conjunct Mars, giving us this really beautiful exploration of our alignment with our higher purpose and our awareness of the depth of our higher purpose, our connection between our personal life, our ego, and that place of service that we are each uniquely designed to serve. When we stay connected to that, our higher purpose, our life purpose, and we ground ourselves in that value of that purpose, because when we align with that purpose, we come to realize that our life is an inextricable, vital, and irreplaceable part of the cosmic plan. And it's so valuable and so precious that we have to take care of it, and we have to trust that the universe itself is wanting us to fulfill our right place. That's the code that the earth brings us this week with the sun transiting in the 57 that says if you stay connected to your higher purpose, you're going to get all the instinct, all the awareness, all the intuitive insights, all the knowledge that you need to have to preserve yourself, to be able to take the next right step necessary to move you forward into the future fulfillment of an expanded story of the truth of who you are. That's our theme starting off this week. And of course, it requires of us to heal anything in our self-worth that is causing us to question whether we have a purpose, that's causing us to question if our role in the world is vital or valuable. It is. It absolutely is. The world is what it is today because you are who you are. And when you can really, really get that in your heart, your soul, your being, and know that it's so valuable that the whole world is what it is because of your existence, then you move into a place of trusting that, well, if it's that precious, if I am that precious, then of course I'm going to get all the information. I'm going to have all the connection I need to know what I need to know when I need to know it. That's our first part of the week. So the second part of the week starts on Thursday when the sun then moves into the gate 32, which I like to call the gate of endurance in quantum human design. Now we're moving into a different place in the matched pairs that we're sort of rotating through around the human design mandala. So the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at the relationship between fear and the will center, the spleen and the will. Now we're looking at the relationship between fear and the root center, or the spleen center and the root center. And oftentimes the energies in the channels that connect the root center to the spleen are rooted in a theme of being in alignment with right timing. And in order for us to be in alignment with the right timing, we have to trust source. We have to trust that there is this cosmic plan unfolding in this divinely perfect way. And yes, absolutely, there are things that we have to do to tend to this relationship, this divine order, if you will. But we have to also stay humble to the idea that we can't control timing. We can't control timing. It's too complex in a quantum world. All the tangled hierarchy that has to happen for an event to manifest on the material plane in the right timing is really too much for us to organize as human beings. However, we can influence timing. And we see in the relationship between the root center and the spleen, our responsibility, if you will, the role that we can play in influencing time and timing. Now, this week, with the sun in the 32, the earth highlights the gate 42, the gate of conclusion. So what we see is that the sun says, you've got to cultivate some kind of endurance. And the way in which you cultivate endurance is while you're waiting for the timing to be right, you got to take care of all those things that need to be set in place, that you've got to lay the foundation, if you will, for right timing while you're waiting for the right timing to show up. That means we are in a cycle coming into the end of this week, starting on Thursday, of preparing the way, laying the foundation. So this is a time when we get those inner impulses around, hey, I need to get that website done. Hey, I need to write that book. Hey, I need to have that conversation I've been putting off with that person that I need to have that conversation with. Maybe I need to talk to this person I've been crushing on and see if there's something there. This is a time when we're getting this impetus to, hey, get ready, prepare the way, do whatever things you need to do to sustain the energy field, the prayer field of intentionality, so that when the timing is right, your energies align, all the exterior outer circumstances are set in place and you're ready to go. So when you get the call, you can pull the trigger and run. The earth says, yeah, that's awesome. Get ready. But part of what happens is we don't get ready for what's next because we've still got a backlog of things we haven't handled. So the earth says, you want to influence timing? Awesome, let's go for it. Now is the time for you to take care of all that dangling, hanging stuff that you've been putting off. It's time to file those papers that you haven't filed, to do all those things that you need to do. Get them cleared off your plate. Because when you have a clean slate, when you've got an open field that has nothing but possibility available, because all the old hanging bits that have been distracting you and holding up pieces of your energy have been tackled, and now you've got this wide open field, plus you're laying the foundation for whatever's next, timing speeds up. And it speeds up because you're ready. If you're not ready, the universe in its infinite wisdom, or life's intelligence, or God, or source, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be like, yeah, I get it. You want this thing. Yeah, I get it. But you're not ready. Where are you going to put it? You don't have room for that right now, right? The universe is pretty wise about knowing when you need to have an opportunity and when you're ready for it. And if you're not ready for it because you haven't handled all the stuff you need to handle, because you haven't created space for it, you haven't tended to the details, and you haven't laid the foundation, your intentions are at that point going to simply be wishful thinking. You have to marry the intentions with right action if you're going to influence time and timing. So this week, the sun and the earth are saying, not only, hey, you got to get connected to your purpose, your right place in the world, and trust that when you're really connected to that, you're going to know what you need to know when you need to know it. The earth and the sun are also saying, and get ready. Clear your slate. Get that stuff out of the garage. File those papers. Have those conversations. End those old obligations that need to be done, and prepare the way. Because things are getting ready to speed up. We're getting ready to move forward. And we can't do that if the field isn't prepared, if we haven't made ready for the next step. So that's our homework for this week. Not easy. It's not easy, but vital. And so I would certainly say for you, don't make it complicated. Keep it really practical. What do you need to do to make space? What do you need to do to make room? What do you need to do to get ready? And how do you need to establish and maintain your prayer field? The intentionality, the desires that you're heading towards, that vision that you're building towards. How do you need to hold on to that in the process? Because the truth is, cleaning out the garage is boring and it sucks. Finishing up old business, we've been putting it off because we don't like it and it's boring and it sucks sometimes. But it's got to get done. You've got to prepare the way. So that's your message for this week. Prepare the way. And don't forget that you are inherently valuable because you exist. That's it. That's all you got to do to be valuable. You just have to keep existing. And that that value that is yours, that irreplaceable, won't call it on, that irreplaceable place that only you can occupy is so precious that the universe is waiting for you to occupy it so that it can do everything you need to help you fulfill that place that only you can occupy. Have a really great week. I will talk to you again next week. Bye.